Hello, ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to episode 88 of the Hardly Millennial podcast, where we are young, dumb, and full of
opinions.
Oh, shit.
Lots and lots of opinions.
Oh, man. Did you hear that, guys? Did you hear those two lovely voices?
Justin Lunsford at your service.
It's Justin Lunsford.
Way to jump the gun there, bro. Jeez.
Got a little crazy.
Woo. Matthew Lynn, what's up?
It was time for the world to know.
I'm glad you were able to do that for us.
Mm-hmm.
So to get started today, Justin was about to tell us the story about this gentleman he's speaking with in Kenya right now. And just a little context, I told Justin about this website that I used to frequent to learn Russian at the time when I was trying to learn Russian, called PenPals.net. And it's meant as like a language learning / like pen pal thing.
Oh, that's cool.
But it's like a Facebook, but specifically for that. So it's very international, and you put down like where you're from, what languages you know, that kind of thing. And so I told Justin about this recently, and he set up an account, and he's been talking with people, and apparently now he's speaking with somebody from Kenya. Justin, tell us about that.
All right, so I joined this forum because I wanted to make friends around the world, because I'm just interested in culture in general. And also because as I, begin to travel more, I would like to have people to stay with and to show me around and whatever. But a lot of the time, there are a lot of countries that you don't necessarily imagine, oh, they're looking for pen pals, right? So I expected to hear a lot of people from like Eastern Europe or Southeast Asia, some South America. But strangely enough, there's a lot of people from Africa that are actually really anxious to know how we live here in the United States and what life must be like. And they ask really cool, interesting questions. Like in Kenya, they go by shillings, like the old school British currency.
Oh, really? That's cool.
And there's 100 shillings to $1. So their dollar is like our penny.
Wow.
Yeah. 100 shillings to $1. So he was asking me how much does, 100 shillings buy you in America? And we were talking, and it's funny. You learn about different ways that they different words. Like we say gas or gasoline, they say petrol.
Uh-huh.
So I like to introduce myself and let them know almost immediately that I'm gay, which it's funny because I don't do that in real life.
But you kind of have to do that when you're dealing with
Well, yes,
countries.
just so they can realize, right away. I mean, if it's going to be a problem, you have no attachment. You don't even know what their faces look like immediately. So
Right.
later, But anyhow, so this one particular guy, his name... I shouldn't say his name.
Yeah,
I guess
That's so funny. Okay, no, I won't do that. So he's from Kenya. And, he's pretty fascinating. And he just now, after talking about a whole bunch of different things, what it's like living in the desert and whatever, he says, Justin, tell me about gay.
Really?
Yeah. I mean, this is fresh off the boat.
No, legitimately, I wonder if in his country, if there's like knowledge about gay. Like, I wonder if he's really asking. Maybe he doesn't know.
Yeah.
No, I do think he's really asking. I think he's
Yeah.
incredibly curious, and there's not a lot of resources around him to really explain what it
Because
is.
if you are gay where he's from, you certainly can't talk about it. You're not very open about that.
Right, it's technically illegal.
In Kenya, it is.
In Kenya.
Yeah.
Okay.
Technically, yes.
Okay.
Interesting.
So, anyhow, I said, what would you like to know? And he says, example, you, comma, always a lot of broken English, by the way. Uh-huh. I heard there is a man and a woman in gay, right? And so I was trying to explain this to you, and then we got ready to, start this podcast. He thought, I was taking long to respond, and he said, you don't want to talk about it, I guess. So I said, no, I do. Just a moment. He said, okay. And now here we are.
Oh,
so you're
interesting. You're in the middle of it.
Yeah. So I'm going to go ahead and text him back right now, and we'll just see how this goes.
Please do.
Yeah,
While you're
very
doing,
interesting. We're getting live action here.
Yeah.
While you're doing that, I'll tell some stories I had from InterPals.
Real quick though,
that
about
kind of stuff.
there's boy and girl in gay. That must mean that like
Like
lesbians
a femme.
and
Yeah, like a femme and a
that's
masculine.
what
within
he's
the two
asking.
men, one is a man and one
or
is a
maybe
woman.
he is asking.
Like there's
About
woman
boy and
gay
girl,
and boy
yeah.
gay.
Yeah. Okay.
Interesting.
Well, then
I don't know.
let me clarify that. Talk amongst yourselves.
Okay.
and-
Okay.
So when I was on this website, like I said, I was specifically looking for people that were going to help me learn Russian at the time.
Okay.
But you have your profile open to anybody.
I had no idea you were interested in Russian.
Oh yeah, it was 8 months before I moved to Los Angeles. I was heavily into it.
Really?
I know I can actually read it pretty well.
Totally different characters in the alphabet than English.
Very different, but it's easier. So the reason with like Russian, so there's 33 letters in the Russian alphabet, but like how the English alphabet, like the letter A, right, can make 3 different sounds: a, or right?
Right.
Well, in Russian, all the letters for the most part make one single sound. Period.
So can you literally sound things out?
Yes,
Like pretty
I
easily?
know the alphabet enough now to where I
interesting.
can sound it out. And
Okay.
the best way to learn an alphabet for a new language, and I'm serious about this, is you go onto YouTube. And at least for some more of the like European-esque kind of countries, or just
Okay.
more like, you probably don't find this in Africa,
Right.
But like you find the Sesame Street for
Do
that
other
country.
countries have that?
They have a version of it, yeah.
Sesame Street.
Muppets
How
and everything.
funny. And you literally watch that.
I found there was a clip from a Russian Sesame Street episode
Oh,
where
God, that's
they were
hilarious.
teaching the alphabet with blocks, and then they had the song that went with it. So I literally had the song. I had flashcards I made myself, and as they were singing the song, I was going through and just
That
memorizing
is
the
hilarious.
different letters.
Sesame Street is the shit, man. That's how I learned.
Yeah, it was great. I was able to learn the alphabet in a night, and then I spent weeks just getting the Russian alphabet memorized, and then I just started learning little words here and there and how to say it.
Were you ever able to make any friends that you could talk to in even loose or broken Russian?
Yeah.
Through this app?
Yes, absolutely.
That's really cool, man.
Yeah, it was. And even at one point, because I took like 4 years of Spanish when I was in high school, I had even put like Spanish on there. And I would have people from like Mexico or Spain message me, and they would message me in full Spanish. And because that one I've retained a little more than like Russian, I would really try to respond to them the best I could in like Spanish. And I was actually really shocked about how much I retained. From like 4 years of Spanish. I was like, oh, I know what this is. I know what this means. I mean, a lot of the like correct conjugations I was like unsure about, but like as far as like at least being able to write it in a way to where somebody read it, they could be like, oh, okay, that's what he's trying to say.
Right.
I could do that. But yeah, I really like Russian. I'd like to learn Russian one day fully. But it's a very hard language to learn if you're an English native speaker.
Yeah,
Just
totally
a lot
different
of
than
different
English.
roles. Yeah. Well, it's like how like Spanish and French, for example, kind of have they're similar in the sense to where there's certain words you say for like I, it's like
Yes.
yo.
They're both Latin based.
Yeah, Latin based. Whereas like Russian is, I don't know what the like genre is of language, but like they work off of cases, which I was telling you about the other day, Matthew.
Right.
Where like you can structure a sentence any way you want, as long as the ending to certain words like follow the correct case, then it makes sense when you speak it.
Right.
So you have to memorize 6 of those in the Russian language. And then on top of memorizing those 6, they have different endings for like past, present, and future that change it even more. So it's like little things like that. But once you have that memorized, it's really just about memorizing words. But
So I'm curious, Justin, does your friend know that what a podcast is? Don't bother asking him. It's only going to confuse him. But do you think he knows
Yeah.
what a podcast is?
I don't. You know what? He told me that he never had access to the internet until he got a phone.
Which I'm assuming would be recently.
I do not know. I mean, maybe he never had a computer in the home or anything like that because it's very poor over there. But yeah, if he has found his way to a podcast, like on YouTube or something, maybe. But I'm not going to ask him because
I wouldn't. But
yeah.
it'd be funny to just tell him, hey, you're on a podcast.
Oh, but what I was so I had experience as far as like getting the questions about the gay stuff is concerned. When you first signed up for this, there were certain countries I told you that I think you should block, remember?
Right.
And that was because when I was on PenPals, I would have people specifically from countries in the Middle East, like Turkey or Pakistan, or two I got ones a lot from. And it'd usually be a man who would message me, and they would ask like, "Oh, like send me a picture of your penis," or no, not send me a picture. They'd ask, "How big is your penis?" Like literally just like flat out. And I would like respond and just say like, I'm sorry, but I don't like men. And I would get these responses back that go, well, I don't like men either. And I'd just be like, okay. So like where we, but this would constantly happen.
So is this just like a greeting over there?
I don't know. One thing that Vince had told me when he was stationed over in Afghanistan, I don't want to speak for him too much, but one thing he did tell me was he goes, men have sex over there quite often, but it's not looked at as a gay thing. Like they look at the gay thing as like, oh, when there's like a relationship involved, but otherwise like sex is just sex
like
for
two
them.
homies hanging out.
Yeah, it's like a dominance thing.
Oh,
But
Like,
isn't it still against like their religious text?
I'm just speaking from what Vince has told me from being over there.
And I've heard that as well, but I've always wondered that. I mean, they seem die hard about their religion, so I just figure that was like against their religion.
No, the way Vince made it sound is it's like a dominance and a camaraderie type of like thing. But the second that like, you're
but you better not have any feelings about it.
yeah, exactly. But the
What
second
the
it
fuck?
becomes like an intimate, like romantic thing is
Then,
is
you've gone
when
too
it's like,
far.
no, it's too much.
That's crazy.
Okay,
Like-
so
Oh, we have an update.
we want an update?
Let's get an update.
Let's just catch us up while we're in a lull. So he said, you don't want to talk about it, I guess. Yeah, I said, no, I do. Just a moment. Okay. So then I asked him, so are you asking if men and women can be gay? He said, no, in gay of men to men. I said, okay. They do not always assume gender roles, but some men who are more masculine prefer feminine men. But oftentimes there are too feminine or too masculine.
Is he gonna understand all that?
Honestly,
so,
probably. I
yeah.
think the
You
more,
so?
I think honestly, the more like matter of fact you are and less slang you use, the more he'll probably understand.
So then he says, okay, is it willingly to become gay? Which I assume means,
choose
Is it
do
a
you
choice?
choose? I said, no, you are born gay. He goes, no, I'm not.
No, I'm not.
I said, I didn't say you were. I am saying that you don't choose to be gay. And then he says, okay, so there are gays who act as women only.
I'm assuming he's just asking, so there are men that act like girls. I mean, that's how I would interpret
Wow, it's
it.
amazing how like elementary the knowledge is.
Yeah.
It's like literally like questions a kid would ask.
Yeah, truly.
Okay, well, give us a few moments, folks, and we'll have some more updates for you.
He's replying back.
He's gonna
right
reply back
now.
to that.
It is interesting when you hit those blocks like that, where all of a sudden you just realize like, wow, like people just don't know about this kind of stuff.
It puts into perspective how much they say like in America you have access to so much more information, so much more things than everywhere else in the world.
Yeah.
And you think like, oh yeah, whatever. Like
Uh-huh.
I get algebra and other people don't get algebra.
Right.
No, literally like elementary shit.
Yeah,
Like,
we take
ti-
it all for granted.
Tying
for
your
sure.
shoes, shapes, the alphabet, like very things that we literally learn in elementary school. Other countries, you grow up to be an adult and you don't learn it.
Yeah,
It's
it's quite sad, really.
well, it just I don't know, moments like this put it into perspective for me. That,
Yeah.
wow. But yet I'm sure that this is a man who's grown up and can do all kinds of shit I can't do. He can probably
yeah,
build and survive and do all kinds of shit.
Well, that's just it. It's always a give and take, for
Yeah.
sure. I mean, one of the biggest arguments I think people will make about westernized society is how disconnected we are with each other in nature, whereas like
Yes.
you have these other countries where they might be, very uninformed when it comes to certain things like this or elementary stuff, but they can build a well out of digging a hole and using, tying bamboo
things
together.
that we would
and-
need to go to college and become an engineer to know how to do.
Exactly.
Right? They just grow up and at like 8
and
years
just
old,
know
they're
how to
digging.
do
They
it.
know how to do it.
Yeah,
Yeah. It's very interesting, and
it is.
and I'm not wrong in saying most of the world lives the way that like this man here lives, right? If you put it into like actual percentage of populations,
Yes.
the more
Yeah.
percentage of humans live with less like this than live like we do.
Yeah, I would say. I mean, we're the 1% of the. I mean, everybody in the U.S. is within the 1% of the world as far as like wealth and education is concerned. Like,
I would think so. I
those
think that
two
the
things
majority of the
combined,
world.
Yeah.
I'm hesitant to use the word poverty because I don't know what the definition officially is of that.
Right.
But I think most of the world lives on not very much money.
No.
Well, if you're talking about poverty in a like proportional sense, then
Yes.
absolutely everyone in the US would think that most of the world lives in poverty.
Yeah. That's you never really think about that. At least I don't normally think about that.
It is weird. It is weird because like even homeless people here in the U.S.
They would
make
be
more
wealthy
than some of
in
these
some
people,
countries.
who have a roof over their head in other countries. It's strange.
Which is a testament to the U.S. how powerful
Yeah,
we are.
it does. It
Even our
is.
poor people are comparatively,
Yeah.
Well, this guy asked me, not right now, but earlier in our conversation, he asked, "What is the minimum wage?" And I told
Tell
him
me it was $11 going to 12
$11.50.
in where we live.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's like the highest.
Yeah, and then he said, "So you're not allowed to pay people less than that?"
Yeah.
I said no, and he goes, that's how much a lot of us work to make in 8 hours.
Really?
Yeah. So to put a couple things in perspective, rent a room, because everyone rents a room. That's just normal. You don't have a lot of families renting an entire house. Is $40 a month. That's how much it would cost to rent a room for a month.
But you make $10 a day.
Yeah, if you're lucky.
Wow. Ooh.
So he said that it's not hard to be successful in his country.
It's not hard.
Yes, because his idea of success is probably a little different.
Right.
He says, but there's a lot of corruption. That's the best way to make money in Kenya is something very corrupt, a scam.
I see.
How strange. Where literally the only way to survive is just by like outwitting somebody or scamming somebody or hustling.
Think of talking to someone though. Like all of a sudden your phone goes off one day, right? And you're talking to this person from across the world. And you find out that everyone where they live, there's over 1 million people in just the city they live in, right? And every one of those people make an hour what you make in a day. And it's the law that's the poorest of those 1 million people make what you make in a day in 1 hour. He must think that we just live in a world of just millionaires.
I think
That
that's
we're
what-
all just ballers.
Yeah. So we were talking a little bit about that because he asked if I have a car.
You're like, everybody has a car.
I said
Sometimes
I had
two.
a car. Oh my goodness! He just gave us a little more
Okay, finish the car thing.
material. So I told him how much car payments generally are, how much it costs to register a car on average. I said $100. Yeah. And gas and whatever. And he was saying, so you have to be rich to have a car. And I said, you don't have to be rich. And then I explained, he asked, is owning a car and buying a car different? And I said, no. But he could not understand the concept of credit. He
That someone will give you something without
blew
the dollars.
his mind.
That's how this country works, man.
And I told him, I told him that debt, everyone is in debt in the U.S. You know?
And that just, he
And
didn't
then in order
understand
to
the
have any
concept.
validity, you have to put yourself in debt so that you can show that you can handle debt.
Right.
And that made no sense to him at all. And especially with
Doesn't make
a
sense
slight,
to most of us either. But we
slight
do it.
language
Yeah.
barrier. It was just like, no, it's as weird as it sounds, buddy.
It
Truly,
really
you're not
is.
missing anything.
Yeah.
It's so true though. Like
Yeah.
it is weird, you know. I mean, I remember when my parents were first starting to explain like how a credit card worked or how one gained credit, you know, because for the longest time, I was just the person who just had no credit,
Right.
whatever. I had no credit. And my parents were trying to explain to me that the way to get credit was just as Justin said. You have to borrow money
Yeah.
and then pay the money back to prove that you can pay the money back. And I was like, I couldn't wrap my head around it because I was like, but aren't I just the better person to rent to because I don't have to borrow money? And my parents were like, that doesn't matter.
It doesn't work that way.
And I could not wrap my head around that concept.
It doesn't
for
make
the
a lot of
longest
logical
time.
sense.
I don't think I used a credit card until I was like 24. I think that was the first time I ever used or took a credit card for anything.
Wow.
And I'm just like riddled in fucking debt, for different shit now.
Happens
but,
fast, man.
Oh, it sure does, man. Holy shit. And now, of course, you look back and you're like, stupid, Adam. Stupid. You should have done any of that shit. What people should really do is get credit cards and just use it to buy gas. That's what I would say. Just use it to buy gas.
You can get gas for free.
And
Just eat
then
Taco
just...
Bell. You get free gas.
That was a bad joke. But I appreciate the effort.
Okay, so on a little update.
Yes.
Yes.
What's happening?
Okay.
Where did we leave off?
I think we left on with him saying, okay, so there are gays who act as women only, a gay man. I said, some gay men will choose to live their lives as women, but that is because they feel that they were born in the wrong gender. It is a very small number of gay men that wish that they were women. And then he says, okay, so when they do that, it's exchanged for money or what? He can't imagine that could actually be how somebody
A
is.
lifestyle choice.
Yeah, this must
Right.
be like a job or something. So I said, no, exclamation point. Everybody wants to have sex or everybody is trying to find love. And he said, I'm trying to put this in the most elementary terms.
Right.
And he says, but some are using to get money.
Right, I guess
Well, I
that,
mean,
but,
yes,
but you're
but-
paying them, right? Like that $11 an hour is going somewhere, right?
It must just be a mystical world to him,
I
dude.
know.
Yeah, that's why I love this kind of shit, okay? And I said, payment can happen for any kind of sex, not just gay sex. He goes, yeah, I know. Does your parents know you are a gay?
I love this guy.
To be continued.
Okay, great. I can't wait to get more of that.
I love that he's like actively responding while we're on this podcast.
Well, it's so interesting because we like our schedules work in a way where on my way to work every day, he's on his way to bed. And then he sleeps for like 6 hours and then I'm off work.
Oh, perfect.
Oh, it's
Interesting.
insane. And he'll say, hi, how are you? I said, good morning. And he'll say, how do you know it's the morning? I'm like, because the last text you sent me was that you were going to go to bed. It's, 23 o'clock.
Right. So do you know what he does for work?
I was going to say,
Yes.
how old is this guy?
He
Is
has
like-
created he's 31. He created a small business delivering clean water to families that don't have clean water.
Oh, okay, cool.
that's dope.
Where does he get the clean water from?
I do not
Does
know.
he filter it himself?
I don't know.
Oh, well, fuck. Find out. Ask him after the gay
He
conversation.
clearly gets it from the store, Adam. Duh.
Clearly
Goes to
just
Walmart, gets
buys
the water,
bottles,
and then brings
hikes
it to
up
the people.
the price.
Duh. No, that's
what I would
clearly
do.
not what's going on, obviously. Wow, I never knew I would be so fascinated in this. This makes me want to get a pen pal across the world.
Innerpals.net, brah.
Can you choose the country or does the country have to choose you?
I mean, you can choose. I mean, anybody can write anybody.
Can I shop for a fucking
Yes.
pen pal?
Absolutely.
Do you get
Yeah.
pictures?
You can say to only put ads with or profiles with pictures or profiles with text, and you
Can
can
you
block
ask for
countries.
males
Yeah, you
or
can block-
females only?
Yes.
Yes?
Yeah.
Absolutely.
You can choose age range. You can literally choose. I only want people from like Russia and America to contact me or to see my profile. Yeah, absolutely. It's a really cool site.
That sounds amazing.
I have a German pen pal that I've been speaking to for
Well, that sounds
years.
impressive.
I have a German pen pal, but I've been talking to her for like she sent me Swedish chocolates once,
And
for
she
Christmas.
sent you a mug that says, "Now this is a beard."
Yeah.
Oh, is that where you got that
That's
mug?
where I got that
I
from
use that
her.
mug all the time.
Yeah, I got that from her.
Matthew has no beard.
Funny. I do not have a beard.
She said like she went to I think it was Sweden or Switzerland.
Sweden.
And got a bunch of chocolates and sent me a bunch of these like chocolates from there. Oh my god, it was
They're bomb as
best.
fuck, aren't they?
Oh, they were so fucking good.
Yeah.
Oh man, I didn't know chocolate could be that good.
It's intense.
So rich.
The chocolate over there is intense.
Yeah.
They have these ones that look like mouses. They're like, oh, what are they the size of?
Like
They're like if you took a fucking baseball and elongated it just
Okay.
slightly. Okay, they're big. They're
Okay.
fucking big, and they look like mice, like a mouse
funny.
in chocolate, and they have like a soft inside, and they're from Belgium, I think.
Interesting.
My mom gets them sometimes.
It was interesting.
fucking
It was
great.
It was actually funny because I remember. So she sent me a lot of dark chocolate stuff because I just prefer dark chocolate. But there were some chocolates in there that were milk chocolate. Now, here in America, we love our milk chocolate. You know, usually if
Yeah,
it's
but we have,
chocolate,
like,
it's
waxy
milk
chocolate here.
Well, and that was just
Our
it.
chocolate doesn't melt
So
the way that one does.
when I ate it, when I bit into this piece of milk chocolate, I was expecting the milk chocolate taste that I know and love,
Right.
And I got something much better, but very different.
Yes.
Very different milk chocolate.
It's literally like melted chocolate. It
Yeah.
just dissolves into your mouth. It's great.
Oh, it was so
great.
good. I was like, oh, they know how to do chocolate.
You can
right
find
over there.
this shit online, and it's totally worth it to ship it to you.
Yes,
Fucking fantastic.
I can attest to that. It is fantastic if you ever find it.
You guys can't see this, but Justin is furiously typing over here, just like 1,000 miles an hour.
Getting crazy. Over
I've
there,
had
Justin.
to like erase things and retype them just so I can put them in a way where they'd be really easy to understand.
Right.
So that's probably where the furiosity, ferociousness is coming from.
How funny.
Well, we appreciate it.
What was the name of the movie that we just watched this afternoon? Adam?
Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
Tucker and Dale versus Evil.
It's a great movie, isn't it?
It's on Netflix, right? We watched it on Netflix?
Netflix.
It's on Netflix, folks. It is fucking hilarious. It's your typical horror story, except it's not scary.
No.
It's funny. And it puts horror stories into a whole new perspective.
Yes, it's just clever. It's clever. Literally, the moral of the whole movie is don't judge a book by its cover. That's
Yes.
literally the
Yes.
moral of the whole thing. And
That
it's
is.
just so today that was like I think maybe the fourth time I've watched that movie.
wow.
And
I don't know if it's a 4-timer.
I literally, well, to be fair, they've all been very far and in between each other when I've watched them.
okay.
But like, it's one of those movies though where every time I do watch it, I always laugh, dude. I just always
It's
find
very
it funny,
clever.
no matter how many times I go back and watch it.
It's essentially these two like hillbilly guys,
Mm-hmm.
and they are going out for a fishing trip to this cabin that they just bought. And there's a bunch of college kids who are going out to have like a camping trip in the forest, right? And they meet up, and the whole movie is literally a big misunderstanding. But the way the misunderstanding unfolds is exactly the way a horror movie unfolds.
Yes.
And it's very well done. It's hilarious.
Yeah, if you guys ever want a good laugh, that's definitely a good movie to check out for sure.
Dale and Tucker versus the world.
If
Or
you
evil versus evil.
if you could have a pen pal back on the Inner Pals thing, Matthew, who would you want to have a pen pal at? Like what country would you like to learn like the most about from somebody?
I don't know, somewhere in Europe probably. Italy, Greece. Greece would be a cool one. I mean France, obviously, just because my family's from France.
Right.
But that's kind of boring. Probably like either Italy or Greece would be really cool. I feel like there wouldn't be too much of a language barrier. You know, a lot of those people speak English along with their
That's
language
true.
anyway.
The French culture does not stand the probability of surviving for more than another 25 years.
Why?
Well, that's a hell of a statement. Why is that?
Yeah. Unfortunately. Okay, so in order for a culture to survive, there must be a ratio of 2.3 children per household. Minimum.
I've been watching a lot of videos about this
Yeah.
lately.
2.3 children minimum. Okay. Right now, the French are at 1.3.
Oh no.
Okay. And they've taken in such a tremendous amount of refugees that, and their average ratio is 8.4.
Whoa.
Yes. So just based on the amount of, Muslim children that are going to be born in France, it is technically impossible at a natural scale for the French culture to possibly live. And that's not just the French culture, that's the German culture, the whatever you call people from Belgium.
I have zero clue.
The Belgian.
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 Yeah,
The
Belgian
Belgian.
culture.
The
Yeah,
Belgian
the Belgian waffle.
Yeah. So will I become a rarity? Am I going to become like more valuable because I'll be the last Frenchman?
Probably not.
No, I can't like sell my blood or my sperm.
No.
Why?
Because
If we're rarer and rarer, why can't I be like a bulldog and just sell my sperm across the ocean
Because
and make
people
more
don't
fucking French people?
people don't purchase people because they are valuable.
Well, if we run out of a culture like the French or the Germans, I'm sure that we'll use some drastic measures.
I mean, isn't it possible, though, that these refugees could, or at least a lot of them, could very much assimilate to French? I mean, they could still
Why
hold
has
their
this never happened before in
Muslim.
history? Why has this not happened in 1,000 years of Germanic culture and Frankish culture? Why is this the first time it's ever happening?
Because we live in a PC culture where people are afraid to say no or look at immigration as any kind of a real actual problem. They feel like it's racist if you look at immigration as a problem. So now you can immigrate and then you can outpopulate and you can not assimilate. And to answer your question, why don't they adapt to French culture? Some of them do, but it's technically against their religion. Because all those things, you can't. You just can't. Some
Well-
people do.
Well, like what? Aside from drinking alcohol.
The women being allowed to show their shoulders.
Well, we're talking about Sharia law right now, which is like a branch of the Muslim religion. But what about just
No.
peaceful Muslims?
No, right now we're not
exist.
talking about Sharia law. We're not talking about terrorists.
Oh, well, you specifically had said Muslim,
Yeah,
right?
they are Muslim, but they're not terrorists. These are just the Muslim population.
Right, but not all Muslims believe in the degradation of women, though. Or, degrading women.
Not
That's
necessarily.
That's like a branch of.
Wait, how are
people
you?
who
Why?
believe in that.
Why are we in degrading women? Oh, you mean
You
making
literally
them
said
cover?
that.
No, not degrading them, but making them cover their bodies with a hijab.
That actually is a part of just Islam.
Yeah.
Is the women wear veils,
Yeah.
shawls or whatever.
You can't.
Yeah.
You cannot show.
And we're sure that they're going to force all the French people. Who
I'm
are
not
already
sure of it,
there
but Justin's
to-
pretty sure of it.
What do you mean?
I just don't want to go down on the internet as someone who's sure that the French culture is going to be gone in 25 years.
Oh, there's-
'Cause I'm not.
Yeah, well, there's plenty
Justin,
of
apparently.
statistics on there. It actually was presented at the UN, the United Nations.
Ooh, what did they do? There's obviously a resolution, right? They love resolutions.
No,
What do you mean, no?
there's no resolution.
That's their job. That's what they do.
Exactly, but they have admitting that that's an actual problem.
The Germans will admit it. The Germans are all about keeping their culture going. They
The
love their
Germans will
culture.
not admit it. Actually,
They'll do something
They're
to
the
fix it.
biggest naysayers. No, they won't.
I was gonna say, I think
They're
that-
getting fucked the worst because they're still sucking the dick.
Oh my.
There's a lot of people in Germany that still do not think that there is a refugee problem or an immigration problem, but they're going to be bankrupt very soon because of it for sure.
I was going to say,
But they're the number one economy in Europe.
but they've
in
taken
the
in
Eurozone.
the most refugees.
So how are they going to
I
go
think.
bankrupt?
Very easily. Okay, those
They're
services are
kicking
made.
ass right now. What do you mean? Economically, they're kicking ass.
So
So how are they going to go from that to bankrupt? It's like saying America's going
Very
to be bankrupt in
easily.
25
If you
years.
don't, no, it's not, because we're not taking in refugees. We're balancing the people that we're taking in with how
I
much we
just don't
actually have to
understand
spend.
why this would be the first time in history that Germany's just going to all of a sudden go bankrupt. I don't get it.
It was not
Why
the
would they
first
have
time in
never done it
history.
before?
We had to help them rebuild.
Well, they lost a war,
Yeah.
but they didn't just on their own means just go bankrupt.
Oh no, we never had this immigration crisis before.
In all of history, we've
In
never
all
had
of history, we've never
any
had an
kind of
immigration crisis.
In all of fucking written
Well, why don't
history,
you name one? Name me one.
There had to be a mass
Well,
migration.
you can
of
tell
some
me if
kind.
you can
During
give me
the Black
one.
Plague, I'm sure people were running all over the fucking place, dude.
Give me one, Matthew.
I would venture to say the Black Plague had a lot of refugees.
Well, how would
People probably ran away from the plague.
how would you look up something like that? How can we Google this?
I don't know
We
if
have-
there's
we
even
have Google
information
at our
written about it.
fingertips.
I'm just saying, in 1,000 years of fucking medieval, Renaissance, all that history, and just in 2045, they're going to go bankrupt?
Right.
They've historically been a very strong culture.
Right, but now we have an immigration crisis that nobody was ready for. They were the ones that decided it was important for everyone to take in refugees because they were way in over their head of what they could actually afford. So then all these other countries had to start taking in refugees as this clause, this equality clause, that everybody must do their part because they're all one united nation. Okay, but then some of the nations were like, fuck you. And Germany couldn't say, yeah, fuck us, we're going to reverse any of this. They're going down the worst. They're going to be fucked. Germany will not exist.
What's the population of Germany?
A lot.
Adam, pull Google out.
I got.
In the meantime, do we
typing
have
right
any
now.
updates on our...
Germany's population is 82.79 million.
Okay,
People.
so
That's
80
a-
million.
Yeah.
And where are the refugees coming from? They're coming from Syria?
So Syrian refugees have the priority.
Okay.
They get no matter what 100%.
Where else do they come from? Libya,
Afghanistan,
Afghanistan.
Iran, all over.
Coming from Iran?
Tons.
I don't know if they can come from Iran. A lot of sanctions on Iran.
People can take refugees from Iran.
Yeah?
Absolutely.
I don't know if you're allowed to leave Iran.
You're not allowed to. You can never leave if you're a refugee. You're escaping.
Oh. Okay, I guess you could escape Iran.
Yes.
Can we look up the respective populations, please?
Of what? Germany versus what?
Let's just go with Syria and Iran. Let's see what the populations of Syria and
Syria.
Iran are, please.
Population is 18 million
Okay, what's
of
Iran?
2017.
That's the entire country, by the way.
Iran
what's Iran?
population is 81 million.
Okay, same as Germany then. Mm-hmm. So how is 100 million people, if every single person in the entire country of all the two countries, all 100 million, went over, how are they going to outdo the amount of Europeans that are already there? There's more Europeans.
Right. We're talking in like the next 25 years.
So they would just reproduce faster
It's
than the Europeans?
tremendously faster, more than
So
four
what if Europeans
times
just start
faster.
reproducing more?
Well, they'd have to. I mean, but
That's the answer. We got to start.
Start fucking.
It's got to
everyone.
start fucking
No
Europe.
more condoms.
So-
Europe, you
no
need
more
to get
birth
at
control.
there's only one population in America that has stopped the same thing from happening here.
What is that?
The Latinos. If we did not have the Latinos fucking like rabbits and having a tremendous amount of children, okay, right now we're at 2.3. We're at the bare minimum that we would
To, like,
need
keep it.
to continue the American culture.
Okay.
Meaning all the cultures that are willing to be here, contribute, and assimilate.
Interesting.
Just pretty much not Muslim.
Very interesting. I believe the math. I believe like the straight math of it. That's kind of cool that someone broke down the actual number that it takes to keep it going. I just think that, obviously a lot of variables change throughout time. As people see a crisis, they tend to fix it.
I'm trying to like find information about. I literally typed in like Germany migration crisis, and it's just one of those polarizing issues where you'll find some articles that say it's an issue, and then you have other articles that say it's not an issue. But I mean, the facts remain the same as far as like they let in 1 million people. The prime minister at the time was chastised for doing so, to where she basically had to like pull out, like towards the end, and was like, "We're not doing it anymore." big chunk of them apply for asylum every year. They're having issues of where to put them and what to do with them and things like that.
They've exhausted their public housing options completely. There's none. There's nothing left.
Yeah. So it's
Also, a lot of European countries are already pretty dense, aren't they? Because they've been around for so long. There's not a lot of like open fields and area to build on in a lot of them, is there?
I cannot speak to
Like,
that at all.
if you wanted to move 1 million new people in, it would. I don't know that there's a lot of huge amounts of area.
Right. No,
I
they're
think they've
taking-
probably built on most of it by now.
no. There's
You know what I mean?
there's not, I remember when the migration was first happening. They were actually, and this did anger me a little bit because they were actually interviewing the some of the immigrants, and the immigrants were, more or less complaining about, what they have to deal with there in Germany. There's no place to house them, so they all kind of gave them like cheap sleeping bags type of thing
Tents.
and tents
Right.
and stuff. And they all kind of, have given them like numbers and, these little like, bullshit kind of sandwich things. And it angered me a little bit because you had these immigrants that were basically complaining like, oh, we're being treated like, secondhand citizen or whatever it is, whatever wording they use for it. And I'm like, well, you guys literally chose Germany to go for asylum, and they said okay.
Yeah.
Like, how dare you fucking complain, you fucking asshole? Like, go back to Syria then. Things were great there, right? That's why you left.
I mean, it's true.
So
But
Poland told Germany, fuck you.
yes, I do remember.
Yeah, they said, go fuck yourself. Germany says, no, we all have to take in refugees because we're all part of the UN. And he was like, bitch, you and Russia over there drinking champagne, we get some dirty ass water. Fuck you.
Right.
Sue us. What are you going to do? Italy recently rejected a boat of 600 plus refugees that tried to dock in Sicily. And they are like, nope, go somewhere else. So now there's this whole new debate going on as to we actually don't fucking have to do that. I don't care who says you have to fucking do that, which is good and bad. It's good to be governing yourself and putting limitations, but it's bad because right now the EU is all each other really have against this refugee crisis.
So wouldn't it make more sense for the UN to come together and to say like, okay, we have this many immigrants, let's disperse them basically equally out to everybody so that everybody has enough that they, not too much that they can't handle. And we have a place to put these families that are trying to
Why don't they do
escape
that?
this stuff. Yeah.
That's what they're trying to do. They don't want to fucking do that because a lot of these places are like, we don't want any because look what they're doing to your fucking country. So fuck yourself.
Well, because that's what they're doing to their country in great numbers, though. If you lessen those numbers and disperse them equally amongst these different countries.
Yeah, but you shouldn't have to do it if you don't want to do it. And they don't want to do it.
Yeah.
Everyone knows where the problems are coming from.
Right.
So if you hear that 100 of somebody caused however much damage, are you going to agree to let only one live with your house, not 100 of them?
Right.
No, you're going to say, fuck you, you were part of that 100. We're not doing it.
Right. No, I get the argument. It's just, I don't know. It's a sticky situation because at one point it's like, good on Germany for taking all these people in, but they obviously bit off more than they can chew, and now both the German people and the immigrants are suffering for it. If what you say is true about them going bankrupt, and then I feel like the problem would just be solved if everybody just took in little amounts. But like I said, I get the argument.
Also, they're not the only country going bankrupt either.
Because of immigrants, or just in general.
Related subjects. I mean, one of them was like, for example, Finland, I believe it is. The government resigned because it could no longer have a solution or any.
What do you mean the government resigned? They're just like, we're not going to.
Yeah, dude.
Be a government anymore?
Till further notice, when they were having an election. Also, the country of Spain hasn't actually had a really working government recently, and its economy is going up.
Another interesting choice. Okay.
Dude, some countries sometimes just don't fucking have governments.
Let me get this straight. So this is such an issue to where the governments are just like, we fucking give up. Do it yourself, people.
No, elect more people because we can't do this for you. That's what it is. But remember, it depends on you. Look where it's coming from, okay? We can't afford the health care anymore.
Okay.
They're not saying we can't afford to give the immigrants health care. They're saying the health care situation in our country is such to where we can no longer pay for it. So it just depends on how you're looking at the problem, really. Wasn't a problem before.
Right. Well, I'm not very well versed in the subject, but just from a humanitarian perspective, I just think everybody, I guess in a perfect world, everybody should just take in a little bit of them, and I feel like we'd all
I think so too.
Campers, but
I think the thing is people seeking refuge, right?
What have we done with today?
What do you mean, what have we done with today? We're having an important conversation. People who are looking for refuge, who are scared, should have safety.
right.
Okay. But when it's a tremendous amount of numbers, you don't have the opportunity to properly just make sure everybody is vetted so that you are taking in the people that need the help.
Right, but it'd be easier for each of these individual countries to vet these people if they all had smaller amounts of people to go through and vet.
Oh, I agree.
Right.
But you should be able to self-govern to the point where you don't have to take anybody in.
Who needs to be able to self-govern?
Everybody. Your country. If you're part of the UN, you should have the autonomy to be able to say, we're not doing that. We don't want to do that.
They're also part of the EU, which is like its own.
Oh, I'm sorry. That's the one I meant. I've been saying the wrong thing. EU.
So the EU votes on all kinds of issues. They vote on their agricultural budget, on how much deficit they're allowed to have in their trade budgets. That's the point of the EU, is all those countries work together as almost as if they were states in one big government.
Right. Exactly.
So you don't have the autonomy because there is no European Union constitution that gives each state its own governing right, like in America. They vote together on issues. And the strong ones are supposed to make up the difference and protect the weak ones in that union.
So
they don't get autonomy.
So in the case of immigration, has a vote been reached and Germany's going against that vote? Is that what's
Correct.
happening? So the EU voted not to let immigrants in.
No.
No, the EU voted to let immigrants
No,
in.
you're backwards. Poland's the one.
Oh, so everyone else is letting immigrants
No,
in except
no.
for
There are
Poland.
plenty of countries that are not, but they're the ones that are the hot ticket item right now because they're taking such a harsh stand on it. But there's plenty of companies. I mean, like Saudi Arabia doesn't take in any refugees.
They're not part of the EU.
Yeah,
Okay.
plenty of countries, But anyhow, yeah,
They're also a
mess.
kingdom with a king. Just saying.
Saudi Arabia?
Yes.
What a sticky situation we're all in.
What's going on with the text here?
Yes.
What did we get with that conversation?
Okay, so he really is having a hard time understanding that a gay person is truly its own kind of person. It's not a variation of a normal person. So, remember I said
I
payment.
have a hard time understanding that one. Okay, read us through it. Walk us through it.
Payment can happen for any kind of sex, not just gay sex. And he says, yeah, I know. Does your parents know that you are a gay? I said, yes, they do. I was scared to tell them, but they are fine about it. I am very loved. Then he asks, do gays has wives and kids?
Okay, can they get married and have kids?
I said, well, they are gay, so they probably have a husband, not a wife. And I said, some figure out later in life that they are gay. Sometimes this is after they have been married and have kids. That is never easy. Then this guy says back, no, I'm talking about doing gay and having family and wife and kids.
So can you be gay and have
Like-
you do both at the same time?
Yes.
Well, that would be called cheating. That would be
Well,
adultery.
I said, oh, okay, yeah. I said,
Have you heard of the Bible, sir?
oh, okay, yes. I said, it is not right. That is called cheating here in America. You should only have sex with your partner unless they say it is okay. And he says, I mean, you are a guy. Can you marry a woman and have kids? I said, I think he means gay. You are a gay.
Right.
I said, it is legal, and most men do not have the ability, most gay men do not have the ability to be aroused by a woman.
You're like, it's legal, but I wouldn't choose to.
And then I think this was the friend zone here. Oh, let's talk some other time. I will get back to you.
Interesting.
Maybe it was just too much information
maybe
for
you
him
had to
at
go to
once.
work.
Oh yeah, maybe I had to go to work.
You say you just woke up, right, when you got off?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he probably had to go to work. He's probably a busy man. He has a business to run.
He does.
It literally reminds me of all the questions that like my first gay friend that I had as like a child or a preteen or whatever, and all the questions that I would ask. It's just literally someone who's like never had the chance to talk to someone just openly about it. Because we all ask the same dumb, stupid, ignorant questions, right?
Oh, yeah. When
we all do.
When I first started living with Justin in Los Angeles, I for sure did.
Justin's very good about it, too. He's very patient.
About what? Answering questions about gay?
Yes. Because
Oh.
everyone you meet who doesn't know always has the same stupid questions to ask.
Well, I don't mind the questions. They're good questions. That's why most people come to them.
That's not something you have to deal with as a heterosexual person, though. No one ever comes up and asks you 20
so what's it
questions
like
about
to
being
be
straight.
straight?
You never, ever deal with that. But you literally have to deal with it, like, constantly.
Yeah, but I personally feel honored to be the person to answer those questions, and I value my own opinion. So I'm really happy that my information and explanation is the
kind of the
one
first
getting out there. Yeah.
Honestly, that's true. That is true. Might
So
as
I
well be the
encourage
truth.
it. I was the only gay guy in my frat. So I got a lot of those questions daily, and it was funny because at first you had the bleeding heart liberals, right? The liberal studies majors and stuff that wanted to come up to you and welcome you and explain to you that they'd had a friend also who was gay and that they think it's amazing and that I bring so much more diversity and color to this house and
You're like,
whatever.
"Thanks."
And then you have
What a time the early 2000s were.
Damn. And then you have the guys on the very, very opposite spectrum who kind of have that like, yeah, I'm fucking big guy around here. I don't give a fuck that you're different because you're nobody to me. And then they're the ones that get drunk and start like, all right, so just tell me right now, okay? I'm drunk. I don't
Tell
give
me
a
about the
fuck.
whole dick in the ass thing, man.
like, and really, like, bro, you don't fucking like pussy, like for real,
You know
pussy,
that,
bro. Come on.
and you know that guy asking the questions has had a couple wet dreams about one of his frat brothers. You know what I mean?
Oh, for sure.
Like,
You know, okay. For some reason, that is a common thing. Like, you know, there's someone in there who, whatever. I find that the gay ones were really easy to spot. I ended up being very correct about everybody, especially you, John Roselle. Fuck you.
Oh, no.
first and last name and
Wow.
everything.
I don't care. Get them, boys.
Jesus.
So fuck you. But anyhow, yeah, I mean, eventually they are. You know, I actually have a really funny story like that. There was this one kid. He was just
Is it John Roswell?
no. There was nothing great about John Roselle. So this kid, he was lovely. You know, and he's doing good now. But anyhow, I could tell he was gay for sure. You know, and he was so awkward. I didn't want him to be scared, right? But sometimes I would get drunk and I wouldn't like say anything mean to him or whatever. I'd say something funny like, ain't no other motherfucking gay people allowed around here. I'm the token in this bitch. So if y'all are gay, get the fuck out, right? It's just stupid shit like that. Not actually wanting anybody who could possibly be gay to get the fuck out. I was just asserting my place, where it's an insecure time for everyone. Those 18 to 23s, okay?
Got that dominance.
Yes,
man.
absolutely. So there was this guy one night. He was talking to one of the sorority girls in his room. I could hear him telling her that like he's gay and he doesn't know what to do. And I'm just thinking, you poor fucking kid. You don't think people all know you're gay? You don't think your parents know you're gay?
Like everybody knew. It wasn't just you.
Oh,
one
of
of those.
course.
Oh,
like
no.
when he first, joined, everyone's like, so do you think he's gay? I'm like, he is, right?
You're like, he is, right?
I'm like, oh yeah, totally. And I blew my mind that once we got really acquainted, that he wasn't already like out. That's how obvious it was.
Yeah.
So anyhow, I approached him about it. And I'm like, dude, I'm not going to even lie. I was listening to you talk to this person. And
Sure, he just went white as a ghost when that was said to him.
Yeah. And I'm like, so dude, talk to me. Like, I feel like if there was anybody that you want to be a resource, it'd be me. I was literally in your position, except I was already out.
Right.
And so he told me how scared he was of me, and he thought that I'd banish him from the fraternity because that time when I was drunk and this, that, and the other. And I'm thinking, fuck, like, am I really that intimidating? I try really, really hard to feel opening and loving and nurturing to people. And
if
then
someone isn't very confident in themselves, you could be a little intimidating.
For sure.
Well, that's too bad because I really did not ever want that to be the impression that I gave somebody.
Well, and I think most people, that might be their first impression of you, but once they get to know you, I think they know better.
Oh, yeah.
But,
you don't mean
but
anyone
like
any harm.
as somebody who was gay and was scared about coming out of the closet and then seeing you like behave that way, I could definitely understand being intimidated by that. For sure.
So did you become like his gay sensei?
At that point, I didn't think that somebody who he thought was very intimidating would be the best person to try to be his gay sensei. But he did want to know, sorry, Mom, where to find sex, because he knew that I knew how to do that.
You're very good at that part.
Oh, aren't we?
I am retired from that. I'm very, very happily involved.
Glad to hear it.
Good to hear. Good to hear. You had a good career. You were an all-star.
Yeah, we met a lot of men together.
We met a lot of men together.
Burn, baby, burn.
Oh, God. We should put an end to this train wreck before it just... It can't go any further. It can't.
We all got to know each other a little bit better now.
Oh, Lord.
That's what this first 100 episodes is all about, really. Just get to know us.
Well, I'll update you on what happens with my friend from Kenya.
If we have any fans left after this, we'll talk to you tomorrow, guys. We'll see you later.
If you were offended by any of my comments, hashtag me too.
We've already hashtag me too'd before.
That's my thing. I do it literally every time I'm here.
Okay, I love it. Mama-san always hashtag me too's.
Is that why she does it?
Yes.
Oh, I
so
love that. I hope she was offended so we can see her hashtag me too.
Well,
all right.
I'm just kidding, Mama-san.
Wrap this up, Adam.
Thank you so much for listening to today's podcast, guys. It was a great one.
All I will say is sorry. That's all.
Don't be sorry. We're young, dumb, full of opinions.
Damn straight.
We tell them right from the beginning.
I tell people to get the fuck over it all the time on the podcast, so get the fuck over it. And thank you so much for listening. Get the fuck over it, but thank you so much for listening. Remember, you can follow us on all the social media platforms. We do have a Patreon at www.patreon.com/hardlymillennial. And dare I ask, any final thoughts, Justin?
Hashtag me too.
Any final thoughts, Matthew?
Dear God, I love you guys.
I love
see
you guys
tomorrow.
too. Bye-bye.
Bye.